Dan, they're announcing the sequel to Orange Juice!
What? No way.
I'm sure you've all heard the rumors surrounding Frigid's next project, and it's my absolute pleasure to introduce the official sequel to Orange Juice, Orange Juice 2. I know that we weren't keeping up to scratch with Orange Juice. That's why we fixed that in OJ2. We're talking new bottles, new labels, and new vitamins and minerals. Yeah. Wait, I haven't got to the best part. OJ2 is going free to drink.
We're really doing it!
Just wait. For all you OG OJ fans out there, vitamin C is unlocked for free day one of OJ2's release. But for you new drinkers, I see you new drinkers, you can unlock vitamin C just by drinking OJ2 for 55 days straight, because we did it. A hydration pass is in OJ2 now. Say goodbye to juice boxes.
Well, that's that
I'm gonna need that one. Yeah, you gonna do that one? Let's get that one.
Has to be that one. It's that one.
Hydration pass, day one.
Day one.
Are you?
See on the side. It's just OJ1, isn't it?
Yeah, I can taste the vitamin C, but like, who cares? Yeah. This sketch is about Overwatch 2. Hello and welcome to the Loot Drop. Today we're talking PlayStation VR 2's eye-watering price in Australia, tons of barely news, but first, our big story. Modern Warfare 2, not the first Modern Warfare 2, the second Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare 2, the one that came out like 2 weeks ago. That one is already massively successful for Activision Blizzard, bringing in nearly 800 million in its first weekend. Huge! I mean, maybe that 800 mil has got something to do with the $109.95 price tag here in Australia, but I digress. It's the most successful Call of Duty ever, topping the sales record set by Modern Warfare 3, the first Modern Warfare 3, 10 years ago, and that's even without the launch of Warzone 2, which is out next week. You can't argue that Call of Duty, even when it stumbles, isn't still one of the biggest franchises in video games. And you know what that makes me think about? Game Pass. Microsoft is in the middle of acquiring Activision Blizzard, the company that owns Call of Duty, Overwatch, and World of Warcraft. CEO of Microsoft Gaming Phil Spencer has publicly stated that Call of Duty won't be an Xbox exclusive, saying, as long as there's a PlayStation out there to ship to, our intent is that we'll continue to ship Call of Duty on PlayStation. Interesting wording there, Philip Spencer. Microsoft have also stated in filings in the UK that there are restrictions in place in the current deal with PlayStation that means Call of Duty won't be on Game Pass for a number of years. That's real ambiguous. Does that mean they won't be on Game Pass for a couple of years after each annual release? Or does it mean that they won't be on Game Pass for a couple of years and then they'll be there day one? If it's the latter, that's a console exclusive in everything but name. Like I said, Modern Warfare 2 is $110 new. That's so much money. If the latest Call of Duties are on Game Pass day one for a couple of bucks a month, I'm getting it on Xbox every time. There's no feasible way PlayStation can compete with that kind of business model. But if it's the other way and Call of Duty's come to Game Pass, say, 2 years after release, that's super exciting and a great argument for the value of services like Game Pass. I loved Black Ops 2, but because of the annual franchise migration, older titles like Blops see player numbers dwindle and the quality of matches decreases. But if those games are coming out on Game Pass after a couple of years, people who might have skipped them or are only just getting into the franchise now will be able to jump in for a minimal cost, leading to a healthy injection of players. I'm always talking about preserving video games past, and this is a great way of doing that. But I just don't think it'll be that. Microsoft is a company after all, and companies aren't altruistic. Remember, Phil Spencer said, as long as there's a PlayStation out there to ship to, our intent is that we'll continue to ship Call of Duty on PlayStation. The easiest way to ensure there isn't a PlayStation to ship to is to put Call of Duty on Game Pass day one. But I don't know, maybe I'm a defeatist. What do you reckon? PlayStation VR 2 is launching in February 2023. Now, I hope you're sitting down because this next part's a bit, okay, you're sitting down? Prices start at $879.95. See, Dan wasn't sitting down. Look, That's real expensive. PSVR 2 costs more than the PS5 itself, even after the price hike that happened in August of this year. VR hasn't really had the liftoff that we'd hoped for, and making it so expensive certainly doesn't help people get on board. I get that the technology is quite expensive and VR games aren't for everybody, but I'm a bit less inclined to get a PSVR 2 now, unless they release some incredible VR games. Sony did show off a bunch of PSVR 2 titles like Zenith, The Last City, a PSVR 2 FPS where you shoot magic at men, Crossfire, Sierra Squad, a PSVR 2 FPS where you shoot guns at men, and The Light Brigade, a PSVR 2 FPS where you shoot guns at magical men. One thing that looks super cool is the Dark Pictures Switchback VR, which is this action horror roller coaster shooter. Thanks to the PSVR 2's eye tracking, there are enemies that move when you blink, and that's horrifying. The obvious next step is an X-Men VR 2 game where you play as Cyclops, but you've lost your goggles and you're in your room and it's like lasers and you got to try and find your goggles without burning all your loved ones into a crisp. Now, I'd play the heck out of that. Other PSVR 2 titles announced are upgraded versions of PSVR games like Cities VR Enhanced Edition and Pistol Whip VR 2. Remember, PSVR 2 isn't backwards compatible, so that more than a PS5 entry price is looking tough to justify. Fast-paced FPS shooters seem fun in VR, but I think stealthy puzzle games are more up my alley for this kind of platform. I'm most looking forward to Hello Neighbor Search and Rescue because I won't have to have a bucket next to me every time I boot it up. All of these games are set to launch in 2023, but we're not sure yet if they're part of the PSVR 2's launch lineup on February 22nd. But we do know that there's a bundle that comes with Horizon Call of the Mountain. It's $959.95. I told you to sit down, Dan. Now for my favorite segment where we share news too small to elaborate on but too big to ignore. It's barely news. EA and Marvel Entertainment announced a multi-title collaboration. This includes an Iron Man game developed by a team led by Olivia Prue, who worked on Guardians of the Galaxy. Apparently it'll be a single-player third-person action-adventure game that will enable players to feel what it's like to truly play as Iron Man. Maybe I'll be able to be rich. Barely news. Friday, get me out of here. PlayStation Plus has lost nearly 2 million subscribers since the launch of their new subscription model, a decrease of 4% of their total subscription base. It's barely news, it's barely subscribers. Embracer Group shut down Onoma Studios, formerly known as Square Enix Montreal. They were responsible for the mobile Go games like Hitman Go. Bummer. Barely bummer. Barely news. Remedy Games, the developer of Control and Alan Wake, has 5 games in development, including their Alan Wake sequel and 2 Control spin-offs, codenamed Condor and codenamed Heron. Codenamed Condor is a 4-player co-op PvE title, and codenamed Heron is apparently their bigger budget Control title, which is most definitely a sequel, and it's in its concept stage. Super psyched because Control was so good. Barely news. I can barely control my excitement. The Australian government officially confirmed a 30% refundable tax offset for games developers that spend a minimum of $500,000 in expenditure. Finally, some recognition and support for Aussie game developers. Also, in their press release, they even named Unpacking as an example of the great work Aussie devs are doing. How good? That's the Loot Drop. Coming out this week is Sonic Frontiers on everything, Tactics Ogre Reborn on PlayStation, PC and Switch, and God of War Ragnarok on PlayStation 5 and 4. I can't wait. You know, remember the thing? And then I'll have a son, finally. Again.
What?
Atreus, thanks so much to everyone who tuned into our stream last week. It was so fun. For anyone who missed it, we had a bunch of characters. Snack Boy, Macho Man Randy Savage, and of course Jem was there. It was so good. And a special shout out to Dolphin Pants, who photoshopped some made up products from the stream, including the Chief Burger and Beat Test 2022. I'm super excited for the next one, but always remember to like, comment, subscribe, tell your friends, and I'll even give you a shout out. Probably not, I'll forget. But fun. Anyway, bye.
That's day one.
Day one.
That's day one. That is day one.
Getting day one.
That's day one. That's day one.
Day one.